Well, let me just start by welcoming you guys and thanking you for taking this opportunity to come and gather in an environment where we can share in a safe space and kind of explore how to create authentic relationship. So out of curiosity, how many people have ever experienced authentic relationship? Beautiful, beautiful. All right. How many people are we'll say in relationship now? Yes? A few people, yes? How many people want to be in a relationship but are not? A few of you, okay. And those of you that are not in relationship, just out of curiosity, why aren't you in relationship? Anybody want to share?
Far too scared.
Far too scared, all right. Any other reasons? Yes?
Because when you first meet and then you have the first initial conversations, the authenticity isn't there.
Okay.
Because it's actually also hard to initially be authentic in the beginning yourself, because it's a lot to ask to be that authentic self in front of a stranger, you know. That's something we're all working and practicing.
Excellent. Any other thoughts why you're not in a relationship? Yes?
I keep devoting myself to my work to avoid getting hurt, so I can justify not trying.
There you go. Anybody else have any contributions? Yep.
Working on myself before getting into a relationship.
Working on yourself before you get into a relationship. Okay. Any other reasons why anybody here that's not in a relationship, why you're not in one right now? Yes?
Taking my time.
Taking your time. Very good. To heal. All right. So as you can see, everybody's going to have their reasons and their ideas and their stories. So now let me ask you this then. What is the idea? What is authentic? What does it even mean to be authentic? Any ideas on what that might entail? Yes. Honesty. Yep. Without pretense.
The good, the bad, the ugly.
The good, the bad, the ugly. Okay. Any other ideas of what makes it an authentic? I mean, we use the word authentic. Yes.
Real.
Real. Okay. Any other contribute? Yep.
Having the trust that you can be yourself and be accepted.
Trust that you can be yourself and accepted.
Being your most true, wholesome self without expectation.
Being your most true, wholesome self without expectation. I'm saying this just in case anybody else can't hear. Yes?
Vulnerability.
Vulnerability.
Understanding.
Understanding.
Yep.
Any other contribution?
Your
Yep.
willingness to share each other's loads.
Willingness to share each other's loads. Okay, that's authentic. Okay. Yes?
Being fully accepting of the other.
Being fully accepting of the other is authentic. Okay? So as you can see, we all got a little bit of different perspectives. Pretty much all kind of reaching for the same kind of thing. We want some to be ourselves. Have you ever heard the expression, in order to love someone else, you got to first love yourselhas everybody heard that one? And would you agree then that in order to really love yourself, you got to know yourself? And perhaps even to know yourself, you got to be yourself. In order to be any of those things, you got to feel safe enough to do that, don't you? That's the whole part of being vulnerable, being open. So that's part of what creating an authentic relationship is going to start with, is with yourself. Because if you try to go into a relationship, it doesn't matter if it's a work relationship, if it's friend relationship, if it's a partner relationship, if you can't be yourself and you're going in under pretenses or expectations or fears, then you're not going to be able to sustain an authentic relationship. Is that making sense? Okay, well, that's good. We kind of got an idea, an overview of what we're all here to hopefully get some more clarity on. My name is James. I have a southern accent because I grew up in the southern part of the States. So where I come from, I'm known as a hillbilly. And I sing country music in the evenings. I'm a country music performer. Yeah! I got her down. And about 28 years ago, I started this this journey of really getting to know myself. I went out to the deserts of Arizona on my vision quest because I'd been touring the world as a musician, in and out of relationships like crazy, and always feeling empty, feeling absolutely empty and unfulfilled, and wondering, why does this pattern keep happening? So when I was in university, I even did a paper on why do girls like bad boys? Because that seemed to be my experience. It's like all the girls seem to like the really bad boys. And when I say bad, I don't mean like delinquents and deviants. I'm talking like the kind of bad boys that was exciting. You know, they had the motorcycles, or they had the leather jackets, or they had whatever was, you know, was considered a little bit left of the mainstream. And so I was always the good guy. I always wanted to be the nice guy, the hero. And that wasn't very attractive to teenage girls, apparently. That wasn't really the problem. I did some discovery and found out that I was a people pleaser. I was not showing up to relationship authentically. I so wanted to be accepted, so wanted to be loved, so wanted to be chosen, that I thought if I was the good guy, I was the hero, then I would get that. So if you ever go into a relationship to get, you're already in a non-authentic relationship. So I just want to share a few of those points with you. I'll give another brief overview here for everybody that's just coming in. Just in case you didn't know what workshop this is how to create authentic relationship. And we're all going to try to work through some points on that and some ideas and some accountability, really, because it's really going to come back to you. In order to create anything, it's going to start with you. And it's going to start with your fears, your stories. So to create something authentically, you're going to have to start with you. You can't go into a relationship ever thinking you're going to change the other person. I tried to be the hero, and I tried to change the other person because I saw suffering, I saw hurting. I'll be the good guy. I'll rescue. It's not sustainable, and it's not authentic. It will last for a little while, and I'll go ahead and finish that story. But so I studied. I'll tell you how nerdy I was. I started reading all the ladies' magazines. I started reading psychology about and women's novels. You know, what they found romantic, what they found. I mean, I did my research. I was real nerdy, and I got into the game. I played the game, and needless to say, I became the bad boy. Only in my attitude, only in my mindset. And sure enough, man, I started having all kinds of relationships with girls. Thought, okay, well, this is how it goes. And I felt empty, absolutely empty. I felt almost dirty because that wasn't who I really was. I was not the bad boy. And I wasn't the people pleaser either. I wasn't being authentic. So in realizing that, I went away. I went to the desert, and I thought, I'm going to pray, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to find this thing. I started studying human psychology and how our minds work as humans, basically understanding all of our fears, our insecurities, understanding our emotional needs as humans, not our wants, but our emotional needs. And what I discovered was we have 6 emotional needs that we all have to meet for ourselves. If we go to a relationship to try to get those needs met, then we're not being authentic. We're going into the relationship trying to get a need met. We need to be able to meet those needs. Both people need to be meeting those needs so that when they do show up, they can actually be in authentic relationship. Because authentic relationship is going to be 2 people who have done the work or such, you know. I mean, if I'm only talking about kind of like monogamous relationships at this point. I have had people ask me about polyamorous relationships, but I don't really have enough experience to talk on that one. But anyhow, but that's part of that authentic showing up as your best self. Now let me share with wants and needs right now. I'm making sure, because I tend to ramble a lot, you guys, because I love to tell stories. It must be the hillbilly in me. We're going to provide you some practical and applicable tools, strategies, and understandings for creating authentic relationship. At the end of the workshop, I'm going to give you guys, hey Stace, you made it. At the end of the workshop, I'm going to give you guys a tool to identify and attract your ideal authentic mate. Does anybody like that idea?
Yeah.
A tool to do that? Okay. So make sure you stick around for that. That's my teaser to keep you on the end. Now, I know some people want to take notes. You can. But if you want, because I got all my notes right here in front of me, I will give you my cell phone number, and all you have to do is text me. And what I'll do is I will send you a link to it's a Google form, and you just say, I think it'll be for this festival, and that you want the notes, and then I'm also doing a video. So you just tick that box and give me your email address, and I can send all that stuff to you. I'm not high tech enough to do it automatically, so when I get home this evening, tomorrow, I'll be able to start sending those back to you, so you have that. So I'll save that. But if you do want to take notes, please do. But I do tend to ramble a lot, so hopefully I won't throw you off on that one. So as I said, I was recognizing that there's a pattern. And our minds, pretty much 95 to 97% of our mind is on a loop every day. The human mind is constantly on a loop. We're repeating who we are, our identity, whether we're a victim, whether we're male, whether we're female. We're constantly reaffirming our ideas and our story. Every day we're doing this. So we've got a very small window of 3 to 5% of our mind's loop to introduce some new patterns, some new ideas, some new routines. That's where you're going to be able to create an authentic you. Because the rest of the time you're on a loop. And if you just think about it, this morning when you woke up, the loop probably started. I got to do this, I got to go here, I got to do that. You automatically go into this loop pattern. We do the same thing with relationships. We make neuro associations. So when someone does something or says something, you're going to, oh, yep, she's going to do that. Oh, yep, he's going to do that. Oh, he's going to say that. And so you've already kind of put the person that you're in a relationship with, or even a stranger, you've already kind of put them in a box, only in your story. They could, at any moment, do something different, throw you off. And if they did, that will create some problems. Because it disrupts your certainty. And we'll talk about our 6 emotional needs. So what we got to do is first we got to recognize that there's a pattern going on here. So in your own relationship, just take a moment to think back of the relationships that you've been in, and you probably will end up recalling the ones that were most traumatic to you, the ones that caused you the most hurt. But see if there's a pattern going on. Because that's what I did. In my early 20s, I realized there was a pattern going on here, and I had to understand, well, why do I feel the need to be a people pleaser? And I remember a couple of girlfriends tell me, you got mama issues. And I go, I didn't grow up with a mom. I grew up with a single parent father. So I don't have mama issues. So, as it turns out, I had some serious mama issues. And it was because, not because anything she did, but when I was 6, as such, I guess it was something she did, but at 6 months old, she did not want to have a child. So she says, you take this little bastard and you go live your life with my dad, and she went the other way. So my dad raised me. Now here's the weird thing. Dad had never been a father before. He was straight out of Vietnam. So I'm going to give you my age right now. 1969. My dad got out of the service, and he's got this little baby boy. I'm about to cry because that's a lot on a man, especially a man that's never raised kids. He was trying to train me to be a little soldier because that's all he knew. So he wanted me to be a little man. All right, and so he had a lot of ideas that got planted in my head and that's what happens between the ages of 0 and 6. We're like little sponges. We're soaking up so much information. We see everything. Terrible interpreters. We have no idea what this thing is that we've observed means. And so as a child, we're trying to give meaning to everything. So our first relationships that we see in life tend to be our parents and the relationship we have with our parents. So immediately, like a program on a computer, it starts. And it starts from the ages of 0 to 6. We start giving meaning to what we see, to what we observe. And when we give meaning to that, and we have emotion attached to it, it becomes a belief. Now we start believing. So unbeknownst to me, I started believing that I was unlovable because my own mother didn't want me. That was the story that this little 0 to 6-year-old brain was telling itself. So you take that into adolescence, into teenage years, you're already believing that you're unlovable. Our two biggest fears, every human has this, our two biggest fears are not being loved and not good enough. Not good enough at something, not good enough at being a partner, not being good enough at being a son, a daughter, not good enough at being a student, not good enough at being a musician, not good enough at being a teacher. We all have these two primary fears. Every human has them. And so when we have this embedded in us, and fear is not a bad thing, by the way. Fear is what's allowed us to survive as a species. So fear is not the enemy. Fear is just an indicator. It's like a signpost saying, hey, you're about to have a hard left or a hard right. You know, caution, caution. It's how we react to that fear that creates, and like the gentleman said before, that's why he's staying out of a relationship. He's associated, and that's what our brain does. It's made an association with relationship, with another, that vulnerability, that I could get hurt. Our two motivators as humans is to avoid pain and seek pleasure. But we'll do a whole lot more to avoid the pain. We will deprive ourselves in many ways to avoid the pain. Is this all kind of making sense? When we start understanding how our brain's working, we're all susceptible to that. So when you're going to be in a relationship with someone, they got the same fears you have. All right, so going back to my story about the childhood there, not feeling that I was good enough for a female. Now, I had a wonderful relationship with my dad. I felt very loved by him. He was very affectionate, very caring. He was a bit twisted, but you know, in the sense that he had a lot of demons after what he went through. He was constantly drinking, smoking, womanizing. That was the other thing I realized. Because the way Dad treated women, I wanted to be the antithesis of that. He treated them like objects. So I thought, well, that's why I don't have a mom, because you're such an asshole. So I'm going to be the good guy. I'm going to go in here and rescue. And here I was even trying to rescue the women that he was with as a little kid. So I was immediately trying to rescue these ladies from my dad. You know, I was trying to be the good guy. Again, this is what little kids are doing. You know, when they see an argument, they want to go in there and make peace quite often if they don't have to retract or you know, retreat, I should say, whatever. And I was confident enough that I went in to be the rescuer. You can't go into an authentic relationship trying to rescue anybody. It's not sustainable. Everybody else has to do that work for themselves. So, if everybody needs a drink, because I'm getting dry already.
We want to move forward a bit. We've got a lot.
Yeah, people come in, please. Come in. I'll just grab this, I don't have to go back and forth on it. So I told you I'd get you moving every once in a while. So the other thing to remember about relationship is understanding anything that doesn't grow dies. Anything that fails to contribute is eliminated. So sometimes that happens in relationship. We're all going to change to some degree. Our perspective, something we read, something we watched, a conversation we had, to some degree, we're always planting some new seeds, and we are always evolving to some level. We're changing in some degree. So in doing that, we're changing, and when it comes to relationship, you're either growing together or you're growing apart. And that's why it's so important to have authenticity, so that you are always in a state of awareness of where you're at in any given time, and your significant other is as well. And you're making conscious choices, because every choice we make in life comes from one of two places, either a place of love or a place of fear. And remember, I said we're trying to avoid pain, so if we associate some sort of pain with an action, we're going to do our best to avoid that. So that's acting out of fear. When we take an action out of love, now love is one of those 4-letter words that gets people in all kinds of situations. But I've chosen to use an acronym for love. And it's a hillbilly acronym, because I've thrown in a few other words. So, living, that's our love. Our, here's the hillbilly part, best version every day. So if we're truly living our best version every day, then we are acting out of love. All right? So in order to live our best version every day, we have to know who we are. In order to know who we are, we got to be who we are. And this is a process. And that's part of what I'm hoping to introduce to you today, is some processes, some tools, some techniques for you to do just that. And we've already discussed here, and I have another question for you, because I love audience participation. When it comes to relationship, what is a good percentage of your contribution to that relationship? Should it be 50-50, 60-40? What's your idea of a 50-50? All right. 100-100, I hear. Anybody else? It's fluctuating, depending, yes? 40-60. All right.
Are you doing the 40 or the 60?
Oh, there you go. There you go. Good man. Well, the truth of the matter is, it really does need to be 100-100. Both of you need to be 100-100 in this relationship, because we're going to be fluctuating and changing anyway as human beings. We are constant. Here's another acronym for you. Let others voluntarily evolve. LOVE. All right? So as we're letting others voluntarily evolve, we're going to have to keep showing up at 100% to check in. Am I still being true to me? Are you still being true to you? Because if both people are doing that, then there can be authenticity in that relationship. If one is trying to please the other, or because you can have a 60-40, but at some point, that's not going to be sustainable. At some point, that 60 is going to get a little bit tired, or maybe they have a bad day, and then the 40% is going to say, "Hey, where were you? You're not, where's your 60?"